you see right there next to me on the screen wearing the Zalgiris. Is that how you pronounce it?
Can you see
Not
it?
really. Not really. Stand up and show the people what you got on.
I'll stand up so people can see. In honor of LaMelo. LaMelo's playing well. I want people to know I'm not a LaMelo hater at all. Actually, I'm rooting for him to do well, and he is. He's playing well. I just think his father just screwed him up. I mean, honestly, he gave him the worst bad habits you'll ever give a kid, like the worst shooting mechanics and the worst defensive, just mindset. It's going to take time, but I'm rooting for you, LaMelo, and you're playing well, so I'm glad.
So now that we got that out of the way, you got to get your shot in that LeVar Ball. All right, we had some good games in the Big Ten last night that we got to talk about before we talk about tonight's relatively minimal slate. We also got to talk about a little bit about Colorado getting a big win against Oregon. But before we do that, Gonzaga, man, they're just ridiculous. They are absolutely insane.
It's pretty hard to say anything negative about a team that is blowing teams out. I mean, think about this: 85 points in every game so far. First team since Arkansas, the national title team back in 93, 94, to score at least 85 in the first 11 games, at least 85. BYU is supposed to be the second best team in the WCC this year. Now, I know BYU was coming off a pause. They haven't played for a while, but they blew them out early. Now, luckily, they came back and made it a 17-point game. Rob, do you know why that's very, very important?
Did you see how that game ended?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you didn't see it. This was unbelievable. So Gonzaga was up 23-2 in the first half. They were up by 30 for most of the second half. They pull their starters with about 6 minutes left, and BYU goes on a little bit of a run. They cut it to 17, right? On the final possession, I think it was a turnover by Gonzaga, and they throw the ball up to Caleb Lohner, who has a wide open layup with like 5 seconds left on the clock. Like literally, it is 1-0. He's standing in front of the rim, and he dribbles out the clock. He doesn't score. They would have covered if he wouldn't finish that layup. Instead, it was either a push, or if you got it at 16.5 where the line closed, means that you lost that bet if you were on BYU instead of winning, which is like, it's probably the right side, ended up winning that bet, but just
yes. I got it at 17. I got it at 17, which made me 3-2-1 yesterday. I pulled my Arizona State bet after breaking the news that half of their team was not going to play last night. We'll talk about it in a minute, but they took UCLA to overtime. I also took the under after all that news when I broke that news, and I would have won both. Well, not necessarily, but I would have won the under had it not gone to overtime. So I split on that.
Yeah. The last thing before we kind of move away from Gonzaga that I just wanted to pick your brain on a little bit was Corey Kispert. Where do you see him getting picked in the draft? Because I'm at the point where I think he's pretty much 10 to 20. Yeah. I think I would probably take him in the lottery, like the back end of the lottery. Yeah. I think quite simply, like he is the most projectable player once you get past like the elite guys where you know exactly what you're going to get.
And you know what? These days, Rob, if you can get a 6'7" dude who can shoot the hell out of it, plays hard, he's got some Joe Harris to his game. I think he's actually better defensively. He's bigger, but they're similar. They're similar in a lot of ways. I mean, they can both shoot the hell out of it. They're both just kind of, high character. Don't say a ton. They just go out there and play ball.
Yeah, and they both have like the shaggy hair with the hair falling down over the flow over the headband look going on. So it's very easy to look at Corey Kispert and be like, oh yeah, that's just a young Joe Harris. He's just he's at Gonzaga instead of UVA.
And Joe Harris is from the Pacific Northwest. Right?
Mm-hmm. He had 28 last night too, so it's very easy to draw those lines and make that connection. And if you can get a guy that can shoot 40-something% from three in the NBA, which like Corey Kispert might be able to do, you gotta go get that guy. All right, so we had 3 big games in the Big Ten. Illinois down by 15 at halftime, won by 25, something that's never happened in the last 25 years in college basketball. Indiana got a huge game out of Trace Jackson Davis and still found a way to lose to Wisconsin, although Brad Davison is dead to me because he can't make free throws and can't get that cover.
Yeah,
and then Iowa was down 10 early to Maryland, and then just absolutely blew the doors off of the Terps. So, which one of those games was the most important, the most telling, the one that you want to talk about the most? Was there anything that we can take away from anything that happened in the Big Ten last night?
Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin-Indiana was the best game. Like, the other two were interesting, and we'll go through them. But to me, Indiana had that game, and it would have been such an important game for the Hoosiers and Archie Miller, and playing without Armand Franklin, and Trace Jackson Davis just does it every single night. But ultimately, it was like Dimitri Trice made a huge shot, and he continues to make huge shots, Rob. And Wisconsin extends their dominance at the Kohl Center over Indiana, but Tyler Wall made 2 huge threes in overtime. Like, who is this kid? Like, I mean, 2 huge threes. Like, he had shot like 10% from 3 for the season, and comes off the bench and saves him in this game. And not as big of a win for Wisconsin to me as it is a loss for Indiana. I mean, this was a deflating. I want to see how Indiana comes out in their next game, Rob, and if they can rebound from this one, because that's a tough one. They had it.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sums up the Hoosiers in the Archie Miller era, more or less, right? Like, you get this unbelievable performance from your All-American center, Trace Jackson Davis, 24 points, 12 boards, 4 assists, 3 blocks, 10 to 16 from the field. Very clearly the best player on the floor. Very clearly kicking the shit out of a good Wisconsin front line. Misses a shot at the end, probably got fouled, and they can't get the stops when they need the stops. It would have been that's I don't want to say like a season
next, Rob. Hey, they're at Nebraska next, which it's really not the game you want next at Nebraska, because if you lose that one, you can't lose that one. You cannot lose. Like, the one team you can't lose to in the Big Ten is Nebraska, and they're on the road. And again, we'll see what their psyche's like. But they started to play better. I mean, they won 2 home games against Penn State and Maryland, and had this one, and could have had momentum and feeling good about themselves. And now they're probably trying to figure things out a little bit.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating. And if you can't win a game when your star player plays like that, especially when it gets to the point where Wisconsin benched Micah Potter in the second half, and it
was unbelievable. What, he did something on the bench or something? Did he get into it? I think he might have got into it with somebody or yelling. I don't know.
He talked back to Greg Gard is what it looked like. So he probably said some words.
He's got a little bit of a history here with not getting along with people. Not exactly a quality you want right now if you're Micah Potter on a really good team that has a chance to go to the Final Four. Like, I don't know what happened, but man, just you got a lot of red flags right now on you.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. All right, the Iowa result. Like, the only thing I really took away from that is Keegan Murray is such a difference maker for them. Like, I honestly had no idea who this kid was.
Yeah,
heading into the season, and he's a 6'8" kind of like combo forward they got coming off the bench.
Yep.
Long arms, can block shots, defensive playmaker. Makes threes. Like, he just changes what they can do, because the issues we have with them is Iowa can't guard, and all of a sudden you got a guy who in 20 minutes a game is averaging a block and a half and a steal and a half, and can make threes and space the floor. Like, it's just.
I'll give you another one. What about Patrick McCaffrey?
Yeah, I mean, he's got the length. He can make some shots.
He's long. He's long. That's what I'm saying. He's got length, and at least they can disrupt in the zone a little bit more than some of those other guys. That's all I'm saying is he gives you another dimension. Mm-hmm. And again, he's only going to get better. Like, I think Patrick McCaffrey is going to be a really good player like next season. But those guys coming off your bench, and oh, by the way, our boy Jordan Bohannon, since you called them out, which you completely called them out about 2.5 weeks ago, you know what he is in the last 5 games shooting the ball from 3?
What's that?
19 of 38.
Well, here's the thing. I called him out multiple times over and over and over again. It was only up to it was maybe the 3rd or 4th time that I didn't call him out. I just pointed out that he was shooting like shit. Like, I wasn't like,
And you wanted him.
It's not calling.
Yeah, you're
not calling him out. It's just like he is shooting 27% from three on the season. That's not good.
If you're watching this, Jordan Bohannon, if you're watching this, give all the credit to Rob Dauster.
If you're watching,
he motivated you. He got you going, and now you are back to what you were, one of the elite shooters in college basketball.
Jordan, if you're watching this, you need to find something better to do with your time. Do you have anything you want to say about Illinois Northwestern, other than the fact that like Northwestern, after all that, Northwestern is still Northwestern?
What the hell happened? Like, what the hell happened? First half, it was like Northwestern, man. Okay, they're bouncing back. Maybe they're for real again. We're feeling good about them. They're up 15 at the break. And then coming out of the break, oh, my God. Like Illinois, 53-13 in the second half. An absolute shit show for Northwestern. Absolute shit show. And couldn't guard them, turning the ball over. I think the biggest thing listen, Illinois did two things. What did they do? They ramped up the pressure. They made life difficult for Northwestern, where I thought they were comfortable in the first half. And then Illinois got Kofi going, which is what they needed to do.
Mm-hmm. They got him going. They started making some shots from the perimeter. And the biggest thing was just like their half-court defense. Like Northwestern couldn't do anything. Yeah. And, go for Kofi. Like he actually made a couple of plays, like staying in front of Pete Nance on the perimeter, which is something I never thought I would ever see Kofi Cockburn be able to do. So, it's just I think at halftime, Brent Underwood was like, we cannot lose to Northwestern. They're Northwestern.
I love watching Underwood on the sidelines.
I wish there was better analysis that we can give to this other than Illinois got better players, they got better athletes, and they just decided that they wanted to win. That's really
I think it was a little bit of a sleepwalk through the first half, and Underwood jumping them at the break and getting them going and ramping it up and the energy and everything like that. It was the first team, I believe I saw this, the first team to outscore another Power 5 opponent by 40+ in a half since 2013. I think that was Kentucky beat Vandy, pummel Vandy in that game.
They're the first team in the last 25 years to be down by 15 or more at halftime and win by 25 or more in the second half, which is just ridiculous, dude. Yeah, I'll tell you what. When Illinois was down at the half, I bet on the Illinois second half line and I bet on the Illinois money line, and I've never regretted not making a bigger bet more in my entire life.
Did you get Iowa early when they were down to Maryland and the live was even?
I looked at it, and the number that I was being given was like -117, and it just was. It wasn't enough juice to put the money in. I thought about doing it, and I looked at it, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to do this one. Which I probably should have. All right, Pac-12. We had some action in the Pac-12 last night. Colorado beat Oregon. Stanford beat Washington. Zaire Williams had a triple-double. USC looked awesome winning at Arizona. Evan Mobley, he's the real deal. UCLA.
Slow down. Evan Mobley is the real deal. Do you know the game before that against Utah, how many field goal attempts he had?
How many?
0.
He didn't shoot against Utah?
Well, he shot. He got fouled. But in the box score, he was 0 for 0 from the field. He had 3 points. All came from the line against Utah. How about that? Like, you can't let that happen. If you're Andy Enfield, you cannot allow that to happen. Now, it was a hell of a win last night. They win at McHale for the first time since 2008. That might have been the O.J. Mayo year. I don't know. Like, I think that win was probably struck in, from the what was Mayo? Mayo had to be around there. I can't remember what year he was.
Was it? Yeah, I think you're right. But here's my thing about Evan Mobley, just to kind of elaborate on the point you were making. The value that he provides, it's not like necessarily scoring, right? Like I think that the reason why he's such a promising prospect to me is the stuff that he could do defensively, the way that he can move his feet, the fact that he can handle the ball, the way that he can kind of pass and read defenses a little bit, the way that he's used. Like they already basically use him like an NBA 5 and like dribble handoffs and
makes sense.
pops and flaring away from the rim. So that's why I'm like, okay, this guy's got a chance to be really good because he has all of this talent, but like he's at the next level, he's basically going to be like I don't want to say a role player because that's kind of like the wrong way to put it, like a system player.
He could be like a Chris Bosh. Like he could be like that type.
I could see it, and I'm gonna put a name here, and I'm not saying they're the same kind of player, but I can see him being something similar to like a Draymond Green, where he does a job and he lifts a team from being a good team to a great team, but he's not necessarily the piece that like
he's not a star.
He's not. You don't necessarily want to build around him, but if you have him as like your third best player, like you're probably going to be a championship level contender in 5 years. Like that's just kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, my point was only that there should never be a game that goes by when Evan Mobley and you look in the box and you see 0 for 0 from the field ever.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. All right, anything else from the Pac-12 before we move on?
Yeah, Tubelis, the kid from Arizona, the freshman, really good. Like he had like 30 last night in the loss. Yeah, Kinjo was terrible. I mean, listen, both those teams. I think I heard Bill is saying like, rattling off the Pac-12 teams that are going to be tournament teams. And I'm just like, really? Like USC is a tournament team? Like these aren't all tournament teams right now. Like maybe they will be at the end of the day, but I think we're handing out bids here a little bit premature for the Pac-12.
I think we'll probably get 5 bids for the league, 4 or 5.
Well, without Arizona being eligible, it could be 4. And it really could be 3. Like it's probably deserving maybe of 3 at the end of the day. We'll see. Oregon losing yesterday doesn't help. I mean, they're not the same team without N'Faly Dante, and they need Will Richardson back. So I want to see them when they're whole. But that, listen, one of the most underrated players in college basketball continues to be McKinley Wright. Like nobody talks about him. Plays for Colorado. Nobody ever talks about Colorado. But this kid is a warrior. Like every time I watch him, I'm just like, I wish he played on a bigger platform. I wish people could see this kid, and not just this year, throughout the course of his career, because I think he's had a hell of a career. And I think if you put him on a team that was capable of like, if they were on a team like, they could maybe make a Final Four run, it would be so much fun to watch this kid play. I think people would fall in love with him.
Yeah, Tad Boyle. I'm sorry. After
what did you call him?
Tad Doyle. I don't know. I don't know where that came from.
For that,
Tad Boyle. After the game, compared him to Peyton Pritchard, and I think that's exactly the point that you're making. Like in terms of the level of how good they are, like there really isn't all that much different. But Peyton Pritchard last year was an All-American. That was in the National Player of the Year conversation for a while, and McKinley Wright is some guy that plays at Colorado that probably 8 people have heard of outside the city of Boulder. So the last thing I want to touch on real quick, shout out to UCLA. They're 4-0 in the Pac-12, despite the fact that they don't have Chris Smith. That's not bad. They haven't. I guess this Arizona State win is probably their best win in the league, and came without Remy Martin and without a couple other pieces. But a win's a win on the road in overtime. And also Washington State, 9-1, winning games. They took Arizona to the overtime the other night. They got this freshman center. I'm going to butcher his name.
Say it. Go ahead. Try it again.
F.A. Abogidi. Did I get that anywhere near right? Kid's a pro. Either way, like Google it.
Shout out to F.A. and Tad Doyle.
F.A. and Tad Doyle. Is it Eve? I have no idea what his name is.
I have no idea. I have not watched a Washington State game. I have no idea.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of them. He's because I've bet on them a couple times. He's awesome. He's a pro. Okay. I don't know if it'll be this year, but he's a pro.
His name, but he's a pro.
I can't pronounce. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's gonna play in the NBA. Like watch. I guarantee, Goodman. I promise you. Everyone listening on the stream right now, everyone listening on the podcast, everyone that's paying attention to this right now, I promise you, as soon as Goodman watches one Washington State, like one half is all you need, you're going to be tweeting about him.
Really?
I guarantee you're going to be tweeting about, Washington State's got this kid, F.A. something. I don't know how to say his name, but the kid's a pro.
All right. Watch. I'm gonna figure out. I got to get the pronunciation down before I.
Yes, please do. You got to help me out, man. I'm struggling over here. Let me die in the wind.
Abogidi, probably.
Abogidi. All right, let's talk about tonight's slate. We do have 2 or 3 interesting games. It's pretty quiet. It's Friday night. We actually having one good game on a Friday night is a step up from what it normally is. It's Purdue at Michigan State. Michigan State has won 2 in a row. They moved A.J. Hoggard into the starting lineup. Rocket Watts and Foster Loyer are coming off the bench. Aaron Henry has kind of gone into takeover mode a little bit and is looking like the guy we thought he was going to be heading into the season. So where do you stand on Michigan State, on this team, on this game, on this line? Give me everything.
It's Purdue's 3rd straight road game. They've lost the last 2. Rutgers, Illinois, they kept them both I think they lost both by 8 or something. I think
the line, by the way, I should have mentioned this is Michigan State is laying 4.5.
Yeah, I like laying the 4.5 here. I do. I just think, can Purdue keep it close? Yeah, maybe. But I think Michigan State's starting to get better. Their defense was the biggest thing in the last game. So could this be a little bit of a rock fight? Probably. I mean, it probably will be. But I think Michigan State at home got some momentum, feeling good about themselves. Like you said, their point guard situation certainly better than it was. Now you just ask Rocket Watts, go score. Just go get buckets. And, they've got enough guys. Like they shouldn't be this bad if their point guard situation and their defense are better, which they've been in the last game or two. So I like Michigan State here.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes the insertion of AJ Hoggard into the starting lineup so interesting because he's a little bit bigger. What is he's like 6'3", 6'4", and he is the ball moves, it doesn't stick with him. He's a little bit of a playmaker. So I just think that he's a piece that is going to fit in, take the pressure off of Aaron Henry for being the primary playmaker.
Right.
And it gives him a little bit more flexibility defensively. Like Rocket Watts, I thought he'd be better defensively than he was. He's not. Foster Loyer is not someone you play expecting him to be a good, he is what he is, He'll
be Henry. You need Hauser to be probably better than he's been. I mean, those two have to be pretty good for this Michigan State team to be relevant come March, right? Like those two have to be really good. And Rocket Watts has got to be a scorer. He's got to be a consistent double figure scorer.
Yeah, my only concern with taking Michigan State in this spot is Trevion Williams. When he goes up against someone his size, he can struggle a little bit. And we've talked about it before. Michigan State got some issues at the 5. I don't know if Thomas Kithier is the answer. I don't know if Marcus Bingham is the answer. I think Julius Marble has kind of been taken out of the rotation. So we'll see how that goes. But that's the one question mark for me. But I feel like we can start getting back onto the Michigan State bandwagon at this point, playing at home. We have Ohio taking on Toledo. So this is the weirdest line. Both of us already put in a bet on Toledo in this spot. KenPom has the projection at Toledo -5. The line right now is Toledo -3. Toledo is probably the best team in the MAC this year. They're sitting at 4-0 in conference play. They're 9-3 overall. They're the highest rated team on the metrics. Ohio, who we all saw go into Illinois and get a win, they probably should have, or take a loss when it probably should have been a win, will be without future NBA point guard Jason Preston. But since he's been out, they've had this kid, Mark Sears, a freshman step up, who was averaging 10 minutes a game before Preston went down with the injury. In the last 3 games, he's averaging 14 points and 8 assists, which sources tell me is pretty good for a true freshman.
Yeah, and Preston's not going to play tonight. So frankly, I like Toledo here laying the 3.5. I know Sears has played great, but I just wonder how long they can keep this up without Jason Preston. So I'm going to go full Rockets here with Toledo.
Yeah, so Ohio has won 2 games since Jason Preston went down. One of them was against the Ball State team that's kind of middle of the pack in the conference. And the other one was against Northern Illinois. The reason, I believe it was the reason they ended up firing Mark Montgomery was because of that.
I'm not sure about the reason.
Well, I mean, it was not the reason. It was the last straw they had. Yeah, the last game that they played before he was fired. Is that right? Yeah. Because they came out the next day and you took him on the money line as a 17-point dog, and I think didn't they miss a shot at the buzzer that would have won the game for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was an all-time.
And the money line was like 950 or something.
Yeah. You would have been able to sponsor this podcast.
No,
if you hit that bet.
Very disappointing. Very disappointing.
Last game that I want to mention that we can kind of get into a little bit of mid-major things is Dayton at Davidson. Is this a bounce back spot for the Flyers? Are they going to figure it out tonight?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're that good. Like I don't think they're a very good team. So I'll take Davidson in the spot. Dayton's also shorthanded. They have been shorthanded all year, but listen, the post Obi era does not look very good right now for the Flyers.
That's how we're going to start measuring the program: pre-Obi and post-Obi.
Pretty much. That's the way it probably should be right now. No, yeah. And I don't think Davidson's great either. But I if I'm going with that, I would lay, what is it, 6.5, something like that? What is it?
Yep. Not enough. I don't think I want to be on Davidson. Or
I don't want to be on it overall, but I would not take Dayton. How's that?
Yeah, Dayton is they're kind of reached fade status for us.
Yep.
Fading. No, that doesn't.
Fading.
No, doesn't work. I thought it would. That was another Tad Doyle right there. I'm not having a very good stream today. I gotta step it up. I'm the Northwestern of this stream right now.
My God. What else you got? NEC, some good NEC action tonight. You on it?
Well, I don't know if I would call it good, but going along.
What are you killing the NEC? I mean, Merrimack comes off a huge win, and you're going to knock the NEC like 107-100 in overtime. You told me not to go to that game. That game was a friggin' barn burner last night. You told me not to go. I could have been there.
And you don't have COVID right now because of me. You are welcome, sir.
What do you say? Are you saying Gala doesn't have things locked down at Merrimack?
I'm just saying that you want to be. I'm not going to be in a room with a bunch of people I don't know. That's what I'm saying. All right. Anyway, so again, these are the back-to-backs, and what we've been doing is fading the first result in the back-to-backs, and it makes a little bit of sense here. I would probably stay away from Merrimack Sacred Heart because Merrimack eventually covered, but it was in overtime, and they were the favorite. So I don't really have a great feel.
Sacred Heart here. I'm taking Sacred Heart. I'm going against Merrimack. They win an emotional game. They were the second to last active team to play a game.
Yep.
Okay. They went home for break.
It's not easy.
They went home for like 2 weeks. So I just think Anthony Latina, Sacred Heart, they got an advantage here in the back-to-back. And Merrimack may be completely out of gas too. So I'm going Sacred Heart here. I like it.
I'm going to jump back on Mount St. Mary's. Mount St. Mary's was favored yesterday, and they ended up losing on the road to St. Francis, New York by 15 points. So to me, that's the perfect spot to jump on Mount St. Mary's. I will lock in that pick, and I will take that pick. The other one was Bryant, Central Connecticut. Bryant was favored by like 13 or 14. They won by 25, which means that we would process says jump on Central Connecticut here. I can't do it. I'm from Connecticut. I know too much about that program. The fighting Danielle Marshalls, that's not the answer. The fighting Howie Dickenmans, that's not the answer. So I'm staying away from CCSU. It's not hard hitting New Britain tonight.
All right. I the one I kind of like is St. Francis, PA, getting 2.5 against LIU. That's the one I'm on in the kind of bounce back game there. LIU won. It's at St. Francis, PA, I believe. Is that right? Hold on. Let me just make sure. Pretty sure it's at St. Where are these games? There it is. No, it's at LIU Brooklyn. Tough place to win.
Tough place to win. You don't just go into LIU Brooklyn and get W's, Jeffrey.
You really don't. You really don't.
You don't go into LIU Brooklyn and get W's. I don't even know. Don't they play? Where are they playing right now? They're not playing in like a normal campus arena, right?
I think that was last year, wasn't it?
Was it whatever? All right, whatever. It's LIU Brooklyn. Okay, we've talked enough about the NEC. Here's what I'm going to do though. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to throw together a 14 parlay on this one. So but you got to do it too. We're going to take Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
We're going to take Mount St. Mary's. We are going to take Bryant. Bryant's going to cover again, and we're taking LIU Brooklyn. No, we're taking St. Francis.
Taking St. Francis, PA.
St. Francis, PA. All right, you got to put it in. Hold on. Let's. Can you put that in real quick so we can figure out exactly what this is? This parlay is going to be. I could do it right now. I want to get the numbers, so I want to know how much money we're making when this hits.
Before I know what I'm going to win.
All right, so hold on. I got logged out of my account because here we go. What's going on? Logged out of my account. Logging in. We're going to make this happen. So what are we doing here? We're doing Sacred Heart plus 4.5.
Yep.
We're doing Bryant minus 13. Get that in there. We got St. Francis PA plus 2.5. And we got Mount St. Mary's plus 1. I'm going to take Mount St. Mary's on the money line. We're going to take that money line there. Throw that in there. Juice that up a little bit. And that parlay is going to be like plus 1,000 or so.
I'm trying to find the last one of those games. Why am I having trouble finding the last one? What time is? Oh my god!
My app is not working well. My technology does not like me today. But that's the parlay we're doing. Anyone that wants to ride with us, let's go. Let's get money. Let's get rich. Let's do it. All right, Jeffrey. I will see you again on Saturday morning, 10 a.m.
Big day tomorrow. Big day. A lot of good games tomorrow. So we will be back here to talk about the one and only Tad Doyle.